Yeah, I know she's gonna play Dumb Skull and stuff, and that's gonna be fun. She's gonna play a minute or two, just like yeah, we're gonna airband it. We're gonna airband it.
Well, all your inspiration.
Anyway, stay when Lonnie, I'm ready to go.
And all your allegations, like a cloud day.
I see us. There we are. Hi, everybody. Dun, 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 dun. We are online. This is us doing the thing right now. It looks like we're live. It's the whole thing. We're playing. Anyways, technical difficulties. Kids on the Escalator podcast has returned after a week off, and this is what happens when we take a week off. We get out of our zone, and we have a third. There's a third. We got an original OG right there. That's right. We got the DENT, ladies and gentlemen. It's DENT. Right there. There's the DENT.
Happy to
right
be
there.
Here. I've heard nothing but awesome things about this podcast. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It really is. It really is. And you got my first drum kit behind you, which is awesome that you brought that along.
There you go.
That's real nice.
Yeah.
That's right. We are live on a whole bunch of different places. We're live on the Facebook. We're live on the Twitch. We're live on all the things. Twitter, Dean Blundell, Twitter, everywhere you get your pods. We are here. It is the 25th anniversary of a record that, all of us on here were a part of. There we go. So anyways, we got that record called Stuff, which is a 25 years ago. We put our heads together to come up with this thing, which is crazy. And Mr. Machete was formed, and we got the founding fathers here, two of the founding fathers on my right and left, and then they brought some guy with no drum kit in to play, which was nice. So thought we'd get together and talk about. Some people are actually messaging us saying, "Hey, it's been a long time since the Stuff record came out," and it's actually. You know, Dan, I got to bring up something. This is funny. Yeah, because Dent's on a full-time diet of muesli. Was it muesli? Muesli is what they call it?
Muesli, that's good stuff, man. If you ever need to get yourself right out.
Speaking of animals that take random dumps, let's talk to Dent. So Dent, and Dent and I used to play in a band many, many moons ago, but well before that, Dent and I used to pound and beat the shit out of each other on the public school, and then all of a sudden found ourselves in a band, and then he was like starting a new band with Chris Machete over here, and he was like, "Hey, I got this guy that needs a drummer." And why don't you tell the story there, Dent? How did the Machete lore come together as I crack one?
Well, actually, what happened was I was working night shift in a gas station in Port Perry, and in walks this dude at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning with his hat pulled down over his eyes. He scoots around to the back, looks for some Gatorade, comes up to the counter and asks for cigarettes. He looks down, he sees I'm reading a Black Sabbath comic book. He says, "Hey, you're into comic books?" I was like, "Yeah." "All right, cool. Check it out. I've got Ozzy tattooed on my knuckles." "Yeah, that's pretty cool." So, I just graduated from the Joe Kubert School of Comic Book Art, and I need some cigarettes, blah, 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 and he leaves. I was like, "Okay, great. That's really cool." 2 seconds later, he comes back and says, "Hey, do you play any instruments?" So, "Yeah, I play bass." "Holy shit, we should start a band." He gives me his number and he's gone. And sometime later, another mutual friend said, "Hey, did you ever call that guy? He's a really good guitar player." I said, No, I'm lazy. I'm like super lazy, dude. I don't do anything. And he says, "Okay, we'll give him a call." So I call Chris one day. He says, "Yeah, come by, whatever, like Thursday or Friday, whatever. Show up." Okay, I get to his place. It's in Caesarea, Ontario, just this little speck on the map. I get there and there's a full-blown house party. The whole place is filled with people. There's bottles falling on the ground. Shit's going crazy. And it turns out of this entire small house, there's a converted garage into a bedroom. And Chris lives his entire life inside this converted garage bedroom, complete with a wall of amplifiers, a bunch of guitars. There's a couch he lives on and a table that's basically everything a man needs right on that table, and a TV.
Chef Boyardee.
Yeah. So I brought my little bass amp, and I brought my bass, and I come in and I'm just like looking around going, "What the hell's happening?" So Chris comes into this room. He says, "What are you doing? You play bass?" Yep, that's me. I'm the bass guy. Remember me? He's like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And he picks up his guitar and he had to kneel down to one knee because he was so hammered. I couldn't believe it. And he whipped off Eddie Van Halen's Eruption in one take perfectly. And I thought, okay, yeah. He stands up and he says, "You want to start a band?" So yeah. All right. Puts his arm around my shoulders. Let's go drinking. And that was it. That was the beginning of the band. Shortly after that, we got a hold of Brent. I was like, this is the guy. You need Brent. He's got no drums, but I'm telling you, he's tight. And that was it. Right there.
You guys probably after that first hug, didn't you go right to the Dynasty? Well, I was selling chips.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways. Well, she's probably sponsored by Molson Canadian. Yeah, that's right. $5 an hour.
It's incredible. I have no.
But then I was able to I was able to borrow some. And there we go. And then we started. And then you came over, and we were out in View Lake, and I remember you came out and well, you can tell this story because I had a whole bunch of cover songs, but then you were like, no, we're not doing that. And the Dynasty. Well, I mean, what day of the week was it? Monday was wing night. Tuesday night was 2-for-1 big hair night.
You were a big wig back in the day. That the Dynasty. I remember you had that corner to yourself, man. It was like everybody's crowding around you and stuff.
It was great. It was really, really good. Yeah. I had a good time. The wings were good. Yeah.
You tell everybody what the Dynasty is?
What's the a gentleman's club?
The Gentleman's Club.
And Sum 40, because we've discussed it on the show before, because it's kind of legendary with bands in the area, right? Like Sum 41 did a video thing from them going through there and hanging out there. And there was a band before that, though, somebody mentioned that was doing something at the Dynasty. It was always there. It was before us. Like there was some band and then us and then Sum 41, of course. And then, but yeah, there was a band before that. We were discussing this with somebody. I think it was Mike, maybe.
It was kind of the gathering.
It was Gary Begner.
Oh, yeah.
We were reminiscing about that.
And what was the other one? The Janosh or something?
Well, the Janosh, yeah. Janosh was really...
But they had bands there.
That wasn't a gentleman's club. That was a...
No, just a club.
Yeah.
Just a dump.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So we did quite a lot. I mean, then I had played in a band before that. Chris had come from, I guess you just come in from Jersey. So
I did.
It was funny because we did the first jam and we had these cover songs and a few things that I had in my brain. But then I remember you played the first. You're like, well, I've got this, and it was Slumming, and you played that first riff on Slumming, and I was like, you wrote that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, it's a band, you mean? Because that night before that, we're like, all right, so you're just gonna go like, okay, we'll just play Faith No More songs. Okay. And then we're going to play it like it was not really like we didn't really write anything. I think we wrote a song that had 2 lyrics in it. So this was like a band. And we're like, oh, wow. It's a band.
Do you remember the name of our first band?
Oh, God. I was trying to think about this the other day. I remember playing Fenella Hall with Machine's Way. Hey, Dave.
Oh, I still have the original ticket for that.
Yeah.
The original ticket. Yeah.
What was the name of the dude? It's killing me. What was the name of the first band?
It was Malevolence.
And then we got in shit because there was another band called Malevolence or something.
Is it really?
Yeah, anyways.
They didn't play enough Faith No More, they suck. I don't know, to become Counting Crows or something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a time. And that was fun. So we kind of played a lot of shows, including our first show. If you guys can see this, I think the first unofficial kind of show we played was in Whitby at like a jam night. Remember we went for a drive and we were looking for somewhere to play, and we showed up to some like the Pig and a Whistle. We showed up to some like Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute night, and they let us on to play, and I think we played probably Slumming and a Green Day song. But our first show was this one.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Geez, that was Trader Sam's.
Oh, Trader Sam's.
See some of the guys
Trader Sam's, Port Perry, Ontario.
See Jimmy.
Who's in the background?
I
think Billy Vine's there. Billy Vine, and there's Fro. Was that? No, I think it's Fro. It's Fro.
Yeah, it's Fro Williams. Yeah.
Fro Williamson. Hey, Fro. If any of these guys are watching, maybe they are. That kid I'm playing is a 64 Stewart. Then you still probably have that bass. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Actually, it's right over there. Looks a
Go
little
get it, man. Got to get it. We're show and tell today. Anyways, so this was the first show right here. This is at Trader Sam's, and kudos to those guys because they let us come in and play almost like every 5 weeks.
That was cool. They were good to us. Yeah, we could play there, and they even played our like when we released stuff. They would even play the music during the the busy Friday nights. And weird, it was Wednesday nights that were really busy too. That really weirded me out when I first moved there. It's like Wednesday nights were insanely busy, and I was like, "Why are Wednesday nights so busy here?" And it was like, "Cause it's wing night." And I was like, "Oh, that didn't make any sense to me because it's wing night." It's like, okay, I just didn't get that. I was a newbie. I'm from a larger city too, right? Like coming to that little area was a little shocking.
It was a big deal in Port Perry. Anyone from a small town watching, everyone's got their $1.50 highball night. Hello, Dettos and Lindsay, and then you've got $1.50. You got wing night. You got everything. And I'm surprised they let us play wing night. That must have been in the middle of December when it was, when it was freezing cold or something. But
all these guys in there, we did good though. We did well, especially when the tourists were in there in the summertime. I remember a couple times really just packing that place. I went for the Headstones there. Did a lot of rad stuff there.
Yeah, you painted a mural there. There was
I
lots
did.
of stuff
Yeah,
going on.
Totally blanked on that with Jason
Right.
Chesbro. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But that was such a great thing because we used to play front lawns, which we'll talk about with one of our guests that's going to come on in a little bit. But we played front lawns, we played backyards, we played everything. Dent, explain to everyone watching, listening about the stuffed dummy.
Oh yeah, remember the actual machete?
Oh yeah, I've got that here too.
Amazing.
This is a machete that my cousin gave me, and she had Mr. Machete engraved on it. It's a little rusty now, but it's still in there. And what I would do is I would stuff a coverall hazmat suit full of straw or whatever, rags, towels. And then during our set, it would come out and I would chop it up with this. And we would do that rather violently. And it was a lot of fun. The crowd would get into it and they'd tear it all to shreds. And usually nobody got hurt too bad, but that was part of it. So we whip out the machete and get some damage done.
Yeah, you would.
It's fun.
That was your machete, man. You were in control of the machete.
But didn't we? I mean, we also someone hit somebody, right? Remember we were at a party in Caesarea and it flew out of your hand and
went into the crowd.
That was a party at Dylan Ferguson's. It was probably our first big field party, and there was I think there was rumored to be 1,300 people there.
There was a lot. I remember that, and we played on the back of a hay wagon, right?
Yeah.
And the band before us, the kid took a great big horse pill and he couldn't sing, so I had to go up there and sing a couple songs with him.
Oh, really? I forgot that.
Yeah, I sang a couple Green Day and Nirvana songs with them because the kid. I remember seeing the kid in the backseat of a car, and he's like,
He's tuned.
"Oh yeah!" It's like, "Hey, you ready to go on?"
Nope. Not this time.
So I
I'm gonna bring in an old friend of ours for a minute here.
Sorry, coughing.
Who recorded. Oh, maybe he's coming in. Maybe we lost him. Where'd he go? Mike. He's coming in. We're gonna bring in Mike Bryant in a second. Wherever he is there. Our old buddy who produced the first. Look at this. He's
Hey,
got a backdrop.
He's
Look at
standing
this
up and
guy.
everything.
Wow.
Look at all the energy he's got. He's standing.
I like that. Mike
Hey,
Bryant.
what's up?
Hi, buddy. How you doing, Mike?
How you guys doing?
Good. Looks like you're gonna do
Good.
stand-up comedy for us, man.
All right, everyone.
We are talking about the album stuff though, so I guess that works out well.
That does work. This is my Twitch area, so everything's already set up. So I was like, I'm just gonna go do that, and I'll stand.
Perfect. Looks good.
Yeah.
We'll get some exercise in at the same time as chatting with us about some good times, buddy. It's good to see you, Mike.
Exactly. Likewise.
Awesome, man. We're doing. It's 25 years of stuff.
Is it really?
It is.
That's how old we are.
It is.
That is crazy. I was like 25 when stuff came out then. So
when we met.
Oh,
sorry.
I thought you did the mighty mute.
Dude, son of a bitch. It's great tech. Anyways, Mike, we were in college together and we're like, we got this band. And you got like, I've got the TARDIS. So tell us about the TARDIS because we recorded our demo at your place.
yeah, the TARDIS was half of my parents' basement. Basically, it was some old crappy microphones, and it was I think at the time it was my Sansui 6-track that we recorded on, wasn't it?
I think so.
Was
Yeah.
It recorded right to a cassette. but it did like 6 tracks, and you could do 15 minutes on a tape before you had to switch to another tape, which is long enough for your guys' songs, certainly. But, if I was recording, I don't know, Gentle Giant or something, I might be in trouble. But luckily they never came by.
Mm-hmm.
And, it wasn't much of a studio, but for being 25 and having not a lot of money to sink into recording gear and, having it in my parents' basement, I think it was pretty reasonable.
Mm.
It was a blast, man.
That
That
was
was the
fun
first
going
time we
there.
ever recorded anything. We recorded our practices and stuff like that. But
And
yeah,
there was a lot. The cool thing we had a discussion about this on another show, but just to touch briefly with Mike because he was there, is how cool the Oshawa music scene was when we first started out, man. There were some rad bands, and you were in Shadwell's jacket at the time. And what other bands would you want to pick out from that era when we first started that were in the Schwa area, dude?
I think by the time you guys came by, they were gone, but Voodoo Chicken.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, remember that
favorite band of that whole era. They were great. There were so many of them. Now, of course, it's all disappearing because you remember when Mr. Burns' diseases were all trying to get through the door at the same time?
Yes.
It's like that.
Brent, what was the name of that band that Gary really liked that we forgot about and we couldn't remember the name? Remember, Brent, him and Boneless both were going on.
Mike was listening. Mike was listening to that show.
And I don't remember.
I didn't remember that band at all. What they were.
It was before, a little bit before us, but yeah.
Yeah, probably. I might have known who. Wait, was it Rodent?
Yeah, that's it, buddy. It was Rodent.
It was Rodent.
Yeah,
Rodent. I recorded Rodents. I think it was their first demo.
Oh wow!
So I recorded them at the TARDIS as well.
Right on. Well, they were going on and on about Rodent, man, about how good.
Yeah,
they
Rodent were great. Rodent were great. So were the Cleavers.
I remember the Cleavers. Yeah.
They were fantastic. There was I recorded their demo, and that's one of maybe, no offense to you guys, but probably my favorite of the things that I recorded that weren't mine.
Yeah.
There was that. There was Finnegan.
Mike, it's not you're not offending us. We had $9.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We shared
the
some
Cleavers,
pizza, maybe.
You guys would have loved the Cleavers. They were fantastic, but they didn't last very long, sadly. There was Starkweather. I recorded a song for them for the Schwa Noise compilation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Finnegan Drive Squid was the Squirm who went on to sing for Nanochrist with me for nearly 20 years. We recorded his demo that took like 8 years or something because it was when he was away at school. So he'd just come home occasionally on weekends, completely unannounced, be like, "Hey, we're recording." I'm like, "Okay, sure." Let me finish my lunch. We'll record. And so we'd record some stuff and then go off and get drunk.
I like it.
There was a lot of getting drunk going on.
I like it. Yeah.
The time as far as playing together, Dent can touch it. We were just talking about the outdoor playing outside of Chris's house and getting shut down by the cops. I think you guys were there for that. We had a couple. We played a bunch of shows. Dent, any favorite shows at that time that we played with, like Shadwell's and that kind of group? Because it was kind of madness. We were playing like every weekend, man.
Well, I remember when Mike had come up with the concept, Mike Bryant here had come up with the concept that we should go on a bit of a tour, and he called it the Cowtown Tour. I actually still have my original VIP pass right there.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I've got mine as well.
All access.
Nice.
I think that was actually Chesbro's idea, I think.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
Yeah, or at least the name was certainly his.
Shadwell's jacket on the back.
Oh, look at that.
Scandot, yeah.
Damn, man, I don't have that one.
Scandot. I
And,
haven't seen him in forever.
That was the dude that introduced us all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the little comedy bit in between when we were setting
that's
up.
awesome. Yeah, that was cool. We did that. Yeah, we had a comedy guy on there. I forgot about that.
Now
Cool.
that was Chris, and then because Chris was doing all the graphics at the time, and he did the cover, and we had all the posters, and everyone was really, I don't know, it was really seemed like an awesome kind of group at that time. And your wife was writing for, what was the name of the publication
the Violet Circle.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah, years before she was my wife or even my girlfriend, she was just the person writing the Violet Circle.
And I remember they were just the articles were so great, and she was so supportive of that Cowtown tour. And I remember it was like the first press we ever got next to the Port Perry Star. Go Port Perry Star. They used to run the articles. It was awesome. Mr. Machete's playing this week at Trader Sam's, but she used to write for the Violet Circle and give us some great press locally, and it was awesome, man. She was so great for that.
Yeah, there were other publications that sometimes seemed to revel in being dicks to the people they were reviewing, and the Violet Circle was more like if they just really, really didn't like it and couldn't find anything nice to say, they just wouldn't review it. So they were super positive. They were about like doing something good for the scene rather than I don't know, being dicks.
Yeah, so cool.
Do you remember? Do you have any memories, Mike, of that time, like recording, like with us with stuff when that record came out? I think we did some CD release parties you guys were on. Anything stick out to you at that time? Because it was so much fun.
There was that one. It was like the Headstones and I want to say 13 Engines, and I think Crash Vegas and the Mahones, and then a bunch that was it was in Lindsay at a hockey arena. And then a bunch of us played outside on like the side stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we did.
I did. Brent, I think you put that on.
Did you?
Actually,
wow.
You're still paying for it.
Are you? Elves Cried the Shoemaker played that.
Remember Elves Cried the Shoemaker? They were rad. Those were good.
They were like Oshawa's Primus.
Yeah,
they were fantastic.
Oh my God, Mike, you're bringing up some. Remember that scene? That was crazy, man.
Yeah.
And we had Gary on a couple weeks ago, and just that the apartment. Remember, had everyone was part of the scene. Screaming Al Black. Everyone was around.
Screaming Al.
Man, oh man.
And the Moon Room and the Eclipse.
And when they came along and they started bringing in bands from outside, because the what's the word for when you can't play a show within the proximity clause?
Radius clause.
Oshawa was kind of right outside of both Montreal and Toronto's proximity clauses, so they could bring in fairly big bands. Like they brought, Chicks Dig It weren't big yet. I don't know if they ever really were, but they brought in Chicks Dig It and like Voodoo Glow.
We played that show.
Malhavoc and Monster Voodoo Machine and just so many bands. Treble Charger when they had a #1 hit. Were playing there. And it was nuts.
Yeah, I saw some good shows there as well as played some good shows there, and that's where I could see Trigger Happy back in the day when they were just when they're at their angry stage there. It's
right.
It was all some. I've seen. I remember me and Dent saw them with Deglows at the Moon Room. There it was a great show.
Right.
Great show.
Yeah,
I remember seeing
one of my favorite bands that ever existed on this planet. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And you go see them every time. Yep, it was crazy.
Yeah, so they were one of my favorite bands, as I think I pulled from when we did the Oshawa music scene episode. I think Trigger Happy and Lame were my two favorite bands that I pulled out there, with a close Shadwell's jacket in there as well.
Aww.
Mike,
nobody liked Shadwell's jacket.
Well, Mike, I like you better depressed, so I didn't want to put you up to the top
there. That's fair. Do you remember?
Mike, it was awesome, man. Like, it was such a good time. No, go ahead, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you remember Blue Dog Picked?
No.
It was
rings a bell.
What was his name? BLT from Degrassi Junior High and the singer from Catwalk had a band.
Man, I remember both those shows. Of course, Degrassi.
Yeah, and they would play the Moon Room.
Oh man,
they played a few times. They were great. Oh, you know what though? The Look People was probably the best show I ever saw there.
The Look People. Wow, tell us about that one.
Oh man, it was. It was the Look People. What can you say? They were so good and yet didn't take themselves seriously at all. Like all their songs are so wonderfully ridiculous. And they just came out and they did their thing and just blew minds, and yet were still hilarious at the same time.
Nice. What venue was that at?
That was the Moon Room.
The Moon Room, that's a hot spot.
Yeah, who of course the Moon Room had Fishbone one time too.
Yeah. It was funny because the Moon Room was wild that way. Like, our bands would play their great indie scene, and all of a sudden you'd be like, whoa, are they really playing there? Like a band would come up that's just blow your mind. And if it wasn't there, if it wasn't in the Moon Room, it'd be the Eclipse all of a sudden. It'd be a last minute ad to some great indie show with 20 bands on it though, right, Mike? Remember all the bands I used to put on shows? It was like,
oh man, some of them were just crazy.
Yeah. I remember kids like smashing TVs on the stage and thinking they were just going to leave them there.
Yeah, I remember having to stage manage some of those shows, and I'm like, really? We have 25 bands? Okay.
Did you learn that at Durham College?
I was doing that before I went to Durham College, but yeah, Durham helped, I'd say, actually. Even though I think you're the only one that actually got a job in the entertainment industry, but from the entire class, and you didn't graduate.
I did.
They're like, oh, did you?
I did. I post-graduated.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So it was great. It was awesome.
All right.
So,
I think,
yes, you're right.
He scraped back in there.
The six of us that actually scraped through. I don't think any of us actually got jobs in the entertainment industry.
Well, you wrote a book though, Mike, and
belly dances, but other than that,
And before Chris released Skeletron comic book, you're the only other published person I know. So there you go.
And I saw Mike
I
at
wrote
Fan
about-
Expo one time, and he had a booth there, and I was like, yeah, I know this guy, and he has a booth. I was like, yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Michael?
I hope to have a booth again one day.
Yeah, dude, me too. Yeah, and just
Yeah.
going to any kind of Comic Con. I got the Ottawa here. It's pretty nice. So, our producer just left. Brent, just to give you a heads up.
No problem.
Okay, as long
We
as
got
you
a
got it
couple
under
other
control.
people we're going to throw through the timeline. So Mike,
Cool.
let everyone know where they can find all your stuff. Cause, number one, we want to get that out there and make sure everyone can find it.
Yeah, it's at krakennotStirred.com.
Awesome.
Say that one more time for everybody.
krakennotStirred.com.
Great. And what kind of music do you got on there, buddy?
It is it's nerd rock. It's
Yeah.
all songs about Star Wars and the Avengers and sleeping. That's not particularly nerdy, but all nerd rock. I don't know what else to call it.
You got videos,
songs about nerd stuff.
You got
There's so
videos, you
many
got
videos.
songs, you got artwork, you got
So
the
many
3
videos.
No videos.
Oh yeah, there's videos.
Well, there's videos. Okay. So
There's
you got the
videos,
song.
there's songs, there's the whole deal. If you go to,
Artwork, yeah.
to the website, that'll lead you to the Spotify and the everything else, the YouTubes and the Twitch.
Okay.
etc.
Everybody check that out.
Yeah.
Get you back on for some nerd talk down the road. Mike,
Sure.
Yeah,
a
thanks for coming
huge
on, buddy.
supporter of us and a big part of our history, man, because all those early shows we played were with you guys, and it was a great community of people. And
Yeah.
and we had that first demo because you let us invade your basement and spend $9. So we can't thank you enough, brother. So
Best $9 I ever made.
thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time, man.
We'll see ya.
Awesome.
Hey.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we'll
producer's
keep the
back.
train rolling. We got a few more. So we're gonna go to another guest. We're gonna kind of roll them through. All these guests are.
It's a cavalcade of
lined-
guests.
It's a cavalcade of guests, and it's gonna start with one of our oldest friends here, who is our first real fan. You know what I mean? So it's her name is Christen. We called her Turkey. She was known as Turkey then. We'll have her
Mhm.
come in. She's on her way.
There she is.
and
Look at her.
there
Da-da-da.
She is.
Hi.
How's it
How
going?
you doing?
That's
Thanks for
good.
coming on our show.
Yeah. So good to see you guys.
Oh my God,
It's the
Kristen!
stuff
Before the internet, there was you.
yeah.
You know what? I was 15 when I met you guys.
Wow.
15. Yeah.
I was 16.
It was unbelievable your passion for this band and what you put into at that point. Then, like the fan clubs, we were all like trying to figure it out, right? And Kristen was like spreading the word.
Yeah.
Bringing
big time.
people. We had
Yeah.
we had lots of fun. The first time I saw you guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was when you opened you guys were playing with Glue Leg in Kitchener. And I asked if I could get your information so I could review the show for my music class.
And what was your grade on that? Do you remember?
I don't even remember. No.
I was just curious.
It
if we
was
got you a
probably
grade.
good. I got 99 in the course, so I'm
Wow.
pretty sure it was probably good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
yeah.
Glue Leg. And what was the venue? Do you remember the name of the venue? Because I don't.
If it was Kitchener, it was probably the Trashateria.
No, it was
No, that was
downstairs.
Peterborough.
Miss Robinson's.
Oh.
Wow, there you go.
Miss
Robinson.
Robinson's.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I have absolutely no memory of that.
Oh, really?
Not at all. No.
You sleep a lot. Then you used to
Yeah.
sleep a lot.
You're sleepy.
Yeah. Pretty sleepy.
And
You
drink a
guys
lot.
gave me so much stuff that night. I still have the drum skin. I'm in Burlington at my grandmother's because I'm her caregiver right now. But I have the drum skin and the drumsticks and like guitar picks, everything from you guys, and a set list too, all from that first night meeting you guys.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh, you still have.
I still have it all. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Listen, what's happening right now is like the madness of the net and trying to get it out there. And we could always count on you, Kristen. You were always like at every single show that you could possibly make, you were there. I'd never seen it at that point. For us, you just
Oh yeah,
was
for
it
us,
about-
like it was
for us, like
awesome.
what was it about the band? Like what was it about the Machete thing that drew you to it?
Like all of it. First of all, you guys are fucking awesome people.
Thank you.
But the music and the songs, the energy, the shows, like all the people that would come to your shows, it was a really cool community.
It really was
Nice.
a community.
And
That's
we were
Yeah.
having a lot of fun. We were having a lot of fun.
We
back
were,
then.
and I would convince my friends like last minute. I'm like, come on, let's just drive to Kingston, guys. They're like, no. I'm like, I'll pay. Let's just fucking go.
You know what? You know what's funny, Kristen? I think this picture was taken out front of Kitchener on the way.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Oh, Dent was always doing that. Dent was
That
always
is just
always-
normal for Dent.
Yeah.
We're gonna go all the way.
I don't know if that got us a ride or not.
No,
Surprised
that's
we're
how
not
we
still
got the gigs
standing there.
back then.
Yes.
We got the gigs in that, or we got 2 gigs in this. So there you go.
Oh, the van there, right?
What a lovely machine. You could live in that.
You could.
It's crazy.
You could.
Crazy. Yeah, that was so you went on to do your own music career after that, Kristen. Talk to us a bit about that, because that was fun to watch you come into yourself then.
Well, I sing Wuss Rock, right?
That's Killing Wuss Rock dead. Wow, we're old now.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I know.
We are. We're wusses ourselves now. We're old.
I learned so much about the industry through you guys, though. So, I mean, I was like a sponge back then, watching, and then when it came time for me to do my own stuff, I was fairly confident because I had been well connected with other musicians and stuff by that point. But yeah, I'm still writing. My last album I released was in 2011. And I have a crap ton of songs that I'm ready to release, but I just haven't yet, just because one thing or another, right? So
That's hectic right now, huh?
it is. And like, I'm my grandmother's caregiver, so like I've completely removed myself from Waterloo, my child, like everything, just to be here because she's dying. And
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
and yeah, it's okay, it's part of life, but I don't want her to be alone, right? So it's that's my reality, and I work at 4:30 in the morning. So
Wow.
So we got you on early.
Yeah.
I took a nap today because I wanted to prepare.
Well, maybe you'll get some good songs out of everything that's going on, huh?
Yeah, I've been writing, but like I feel that when I'm like in a like sort of like a mental state like this, like I can't really fully get it out. It won't be until I think she passes that I'll
Right.
be able to release it all completely. But yeah, I've definitely felt inspired since being here anyways, just because of the different emotions that I've been going through.
Yeah, that's hard to experience, that kind of stuff. It definitely changes you, doesn't it? It's
It does. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It is a weird time now. I've described, like, lately I felt like, how are you doing, Chris? I feel lethargic. Like, that's how I could best describe myself right now. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, how are you doing? I don't know anymore. I really don't. Are we in? I don't even know what the rules are right now for the shutdown, to be honest with you. Like I know you hear suggestions and you see things on TV, but I went to the comic book store today. I thought they were shut down, and they had a nice stack for me. And I was like, I didn't even know you were open. They're like, oh yeah, you can just go in the front door kind of thing, right? But then you go to Walmart and there's clothes that you can't get to the clothes section, but you can get the food, which I'm not complaining about any of it. I'm just lost in the loop of what's going on anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on. I know my daughter works at the cannabis shop up the road, and she is essential, which I agree with. Totally agree with.
Yeah.
And
420.
and it's 420 day. So she said today that's what I was going to mention. So she said today was like super busy.
Of course it was.
Because I know, Kristen, you like to indulge in the Canadian treats as I do. And,
yeah.
So she's always bringing me home lots of cool stuff. I got some nice seeds I'm going to plant this year. It's going to be really, really good. But yeah, so she's essential. Yeah.
And turkey memories of that time.
Oh, God. I knew you guys were going to bring that up. I'm like, nobody calls me that anymore because I'm an adult now.
We still call it. I mean,
We
once
still
it's
call
there,
Dent.
I know.
we still call it Dent. We still call the Moon. And like if it happened between 94 and 2000, you're stuck.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's there. What was your favorite gig that you watched us play, Kristen? Before we
My favorite, I think Snow Jam Ottawa was probably like one of the most fun concerts. That one was a lot of fun.
Oh,
That was
Snow
like
Jam.
Goldfinger and
Oh yeah, that was Chuck Caliber, wasn't it?
I think that was Caliber.
oh shoot,
That was
yeah,
Caliber.
They're
yeah,
still
that was
fun, man.
Caliber.
Well, it's okay. You
Sorry.
get to name drop another show for us. That's okay.
Oh, but you know what? There was Deviate, which Deviate might have been us actually.
2000. Yeah, that was in Ottawa. This is my resume.
There was a show in Toronto. I can't remember where it was. I think it was on Queen Street. And I showed up by myself, and then you guys were going to give me a drive, and then there was some crazy like car chase. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And we were all freaked out, and I'm like, just let me off at the Royal York. And then you guys leave, and I'm like, why did I tell them to leave me downtown Toronto alone?
No.
It's okay, I worked it out, but like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just remember like, yeah, I'm good, guys, just leave me right downtown.
Whoa.
Oh,
I made some pretty bad choices.
You're still here though.
I am, yeah.
I remember being on Queen Street with you one night in front of whichever club it was. And there was this crazy drunken maniac that was screaming at you. And you just had your hands on your hips, like, all right, finish what you're saying. And if you take another step, I'm probably going to bury you under this concrete. Not take a step forward. I think you were totally safe wherever you were.
Yeah, I didn't take no shit.
That's right.
For you.
Fantastic.
Well, Christen, we're talking about 25 years of stuff. We're talking about that first record that we made. There's other recordings out there that we'll get down to down the road, but we're talking about that first album with, did you have any favorite tracks off that?
Yeah, absolutely. Raw Assumption was my favorite song.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was our
That
radio hit. It made it to number 98 on the Wolf, didn't it, then?
I covered it once, an acoustic version of it once. I convinced one of my friends to learn it so that I could, like, sing a wuss rock version of it.
I'd like to hear that.
I'd like to hear that too.
Yeah, I don't think we recorded it. It was just like at a gig that I played in Kitchener. So
Pop it up on your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever you're jamming on these days.
Yeah,
I don't use either.
Oh, don't
my
you?
daughter?
Good for
My
you.
no.
Good for you. She still sends letters. It's great.
Excuse me while I write a letter.
Well, it's you're certainly a part of our history, Christen,
Yeah.
and it was important to have you
Awesome
a part of
part of
this
it.
tonight. We're talking about everyone that we can kind of talk to in this window of people that were around for that first record, that helped us make that first record and help us put it out there to start the next phase of what we've all gone on to. So thank you so much for being such a big fan of ours and just being such a supporter of what we were trying to do.
Good
because
friend.
if there was some shows we would show up and it would be packed, and some shows it wasn't packed, but you were always there, and having been able to look into the crowd and have you sing along to every word, it's all you ever asked for as a band. Right?
Yeah, I loved you guys. I still do. I lost my actual original album that I had,
Oh, no.
my CD. Somebody stole, like, years ago at a party. I had left like my CD thing out with 50 CDs in it, and they were all my favorite albums, and it was sacred, and somebody stole it. But you just have to let things go. But I was listening to it on Bandcamp the last week, ever since Brent messaged me asking if I wanted to come. I'm like, oh, I have to like listen to the songs again. I've been listening to them all week. It's awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for that. And
Well, before you go, or if you're on your way, I can give you this one.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes.
Would you like it?
Yeah, I would love it.
Okay, well, I think Brent's probably got your information. I can get it to you immediately.
There you go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
CD
I'll have
will
to-
be in the mail.
I'll see if I can get you. I might have an extra one that's brand new. I sat on this one and cracked it a little bit. But otherwise,
We've got a
it's-
couple left, folks. We went copper, but they only issued us copper. So that's what.
No
If you
problem.
got one, you're lucky.
I'd love to get you another one.
Awesome. I think
There you go.
you're in there too. I think she's in the thanks, isn't she?
Oh
Anyways.
yeah. I think
Check.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
Or
awesome.
have we
So
met at
thank
that
you.
point?
I think so.
When
Yeah.
did you guys I can't this is what I was trying to think of, because when I met you, it was at Miss Robinson's and I was like 15.
Was the CD available
So-
yet?
Probably. Just
I think it was like coming out,
Okay.
maybe, or I can't remember. Gosh, that was like so many 420s ago, guys.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. It was.
Well, you're such a. We're just grateful for everything you did for us, and thank you so much. And thanks for coming
Yeah,
on
dude.
tonight with us. I know that's a late
Yeah,
one
it
for
was
you.
nice to see
We'll have you
all.
back on the show anytime, and stand by for the new Machete. There's new Machete music maybe in the can in our brains that we might put together now that we can do
Really?
this over the internet. Now that we can
Awesome.
record things over the internet. So
Yeah. You
We'll
should
see.
do it. Do
All
a
right.
do a reunion show or something.
We're almost getting to the point where we could just have our kids replace us, and they could
That's
start
right.
a new Mr. Machete, right?
we're gonna have a Mr. Machete euchre and poker or a bridge tournament.
I gotta learn
That's
how
what
to play bridge then, because I don't know how to
sit
play
around. Thanks,
Dungeons and
Christen.
Dragons.
Okay, bye guys.
Thanks,
Have a good
Christen.
night.
Take care.
see you in a
Take
while.
Take
care.
care. Okay, bye.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so
Good to
much.
see you.
Man, that's the original.
Yeah, she's
Every
awesome.
band, every band's got to have that. And she was so great.
Well,
She wrote-
she really made us feel. She made me feel like we were a legit band. You know, when you have a fan that's actually following you and bringing people, and then you see her again, and she's bringing more people to the show, and it's good though. And you know, we always like to reward our fans like that by giving them cool stuff.
You know, and the thing is when they when we get those big shows, they're part of that, right?
Mhm.
It's like they're there. They saw us in the backyard, and then they saw us in the garage, and they saw us, and then they see us opening for our next guest, which is great. Lonnie, do you have a song queued up there that we can play?
Yep, I'm gonna cue it right now.
Here it comes.
All right, let us know when it's playing.
Oh, wow.
Bring in our guy. A blast
me off and I hate
from
your
the past.
fucking guts.
Sticks on the
You
album.
piss me off and I hate your fucking guts.
Hey!
You don't have your audio yet. We don't hear you yet.
That's Dale on the drums.
No, he's not there. There we are. Hey.
Hey,
There
buddy.
we go.
Hear you.
Hey, buddy. What's happening? We thought you were welding or something. What are you doing there? Playing guitar?
Welding, yeah. Guitar welding. How
There
you
you
guys
go.
doing?
Excellent, buddy. It's good to have you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
25 years.
Been
brother.
happy. I haven't seen you guys forever.
Yeah, I'm in Kingston right now, teaching music and guitar as much as I can with the shutdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dent's in. Where are you at, Dent? You're in Omimi
No, I'm in Orno.
or no? I always
And
get those two confused.
No.
kind of like the eastern edge of the GTA, and I'm producing hunting and fishing television shows and a lot of fun stuff too. But yeah, Yeah,
Brett, there you go.
I'm in Vancouver there, buddy. I think last time I saw you, we were in Edmonton together, and whew, that might be at the end of my drinking days. That's when I think that's sometime
That's it
when
for
that
that.
happened. But
Are you talking
Anyways.
to Dan or me?
talking to you. Anyways, everybody, this is
remember
Dale
what it
Harrison,
was.
our good buddy. This is our friend Dale Harrison. So, the introductions. I mean, what do we do here? So, at that time, we were just talking. We're bringing some people in that are part of that first record that we made, and the Moon Room. I'm sure you remember the Moon Room and that whole time and shows and all the rest of it. And we had an opportunity to play with you guys with the Headstones in Oshawa and a couple of different other places. And listen, I remember we were putting stuff together. You were so great to us. You just were always so nice to us, you know. And when you play bands with bands, and some guys are dicks and whatever, but you were always like, "Hey guys," and all the rest of it. And we're like, "Hey, do you want to play on the record?" And you're like, "Absolutely, man, no problem." And we were like, "What?"
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was great, man.
That was really
really good. It was a kind of a surreal time, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah, we had another episode we were talking about just the music scene at that time, like what was it, 95, 96?
No, it was 90, 96, the record. Well, whatever, 25
That's
years
okay.
ago.
You can drink on
Okay,
screen,
Dale, you
man.
can drink
Dale,
on
you can
screen.
drink, you can smoke, you can
You can do
swear,
everything
you
gotta
can.
do.
Oh, buddy.
Nobody allows me to smoke in my own house.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway,
I stop for years, and then I start again for vacation, and then it brings back, and then I stop again, and I start
Right on.
again.
well, our motto is smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Yeah, it's 420,
Smoke 'em
right?
if you
So
got 'em. Yeah, it is.
you know, yeah. So let's go heavy.
Yes.
See, look, where have you guys been getting haircuts? Like,
My wife
the
cuts my
hell's going
hair.
backyard. Yep, never tell.
DC, we flattened the curve early, Dale. It's Paradise City out here, buddy. So
Gotta move on.
DC.
Oh, you're in BC,
where you
right?
are.
What do you remember from that time, Dale? We played. I mean, you played so many shows. And Headstones. This was like the second record that blew up like crazy. With Smile, just before Smile and Wave, maybe because
It was.
we
Probably
were,
around Heat Edition
we were in
time.
the we were in the studio with my piccolo, and you were like, "I love this," and you snagged it. And anyways, yeah, it was a whole time. So we played a lot of shows together, including Port Perry, Ontario.
Of course. That's where we recorded the record, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Well, I know I did. I sat in for that day and just did a pile of tracks on. Was it a Stewart drum kit that you had, bro?
64 Stewart. It's right in this picture right here, buddy. If you look in the background, you can see it right there, buried in the background.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that kit sounded awesome. I remember that. I'm just going, I can't believe how good this kit sounds. And that snare.
Sold it for $92. Yeah.
Are you
And
kidding
that
me?
snare. That's right. That snare. So it was just fun. We did the big drum circle thing, and I think we had a bunch of people kind of on that. And man, so I'm not going to make you or ask you to remember the band per se, because you played with every goddamn band on the planet back then. But I will say you were very nice to us and awesome and very supportive of us. So can you take us back a little bit to that time, sort of what you might remember from that time of us all kind of hanging out and doing stuff? So.
Oh, I just I do remember that you guys were all real cool as you were, and generally our band wasn't that nice to opening acts as much, until they got to know the guys. So I was always the first person to talk to the drummer, because usually there was always a challenge to get 2 drum kits on, or where you're going to set up and shit. And, so I was always like, well, let me hear you play. And it's like, okay, you can play my kit. You know what I mean? That was the kind of thing too. And then I remember when you guys went on, I was like, you had some pretty heavy rockin' tunes and a lot of energy, and you guys were so cool. So it was pretty easy to be nice to you, in all honesty. And then, how it formed out to fashion, you asked me to do some tracks on the record. I was like, sure. And you made it easy as hell for me, and which included beer, barbecue, and money, which is transportation. I'm like, that's all I needed, right?
Yeah.
So, but I just thought that you guys had some really good tunes, and the fact that you've always had the initiative to go ahead and forge with stuff that you wanted to do, and the rest of the gang always did that as well. So I don't know. I just think it was really a special time, because people did share more often, like, collectively play on different people's albums. I mean, that was Hunger Strike, all the stuff that was going on at the time. And then now we hit our modern times right now, where there's nobody playing anywhere, but that same kind of fashion holds through with, people playing on other people's records now, because they have the facility to do it at home, send off tracks that sound professional, and you can compilate things which sound freaking amazing. So I don't know, it's hard to say. 25 years, man, time is flying by.
I know, right?
Like, how old you guys were? Nobody even thought about having kids or even get married at that point. Now
Chris had one then. He just
did I have no one, not quite
no,
yet.
Taylor when's Taylor? 98, 97?
It was after the CD was released.
Yeah, after CD.
No,
there
was no kids going on at that point. There was just a lot of drinking and we were playing for beer everywhere at that point, right? It was like, come on and play at our backyard party, man. We'll give you a case of beer. It's like, okay. We loved
Let's
it.
Go.
Yeah. And then occasionally you get like the show opening for the Headstones or opening for the Killjoys or somebody, right? And then the local parties be like, holy cow, these guys open for blah, blah, blah. I think we can get them. Well, now we get 2 cases of beer.
And a couple $100,
right?
maybe.
Yeah, and see what happens after a couple joints, So I was good with that.
Funny.
See, I was always good with that. It was the funny things we were talking about this earlier. It was that Brent was the guy that took care of the business and the money, and was always trying to sly on the young ladies. And then Dent was the one that was boozing his head off and offending
that corner
people.
in the dynasty.
And I was the guy that was just, if you wanted to smoke one and have a good conversation with you, just hang out with me kind of thing. So we had all the bases covered back in the day, right? Yeah,
We did.
It was fun. It was fun. I
mean, that's what you're supposed to do, though, at the time, right? I mean, come on, you're all young and fun, and you got one guy doing the finances, the booking, all the other stuff, somebody doing the writing too, with this and that, and just it all happens. But it was really cool to be a part of that, because I was looking really hard to find that CD, because I know I've saved a shitload of CDs. I've got like, I don't know, thousands of them, and I'm going rifling through it trying to find that Mr. Machete CD. But I remember having that T-shirt forever, and then my son ended up with it on one day, and I was like, where'd you get that T-shirt? And he's like, oh, it was in your drawer. I'm like, oh, it's like, so he ended up by wearing it, but it had Dale on a headstone.
Yes.
You're there.
Yes.
Dent, show him that you've got the record, Dent.
I drew
Dent's
that on
got
there,
Yeah, no.
The actual.
There it is. Yeah.
Find Dale on there, Dent.
I
See
will
if you can find him.
it. I'll find it because I loved it. It's like, where's Waldo?
Yeah,
You know?
there it is,
Right
right,
there.
at the top. Yeah, that's it at the top there.
Bring
right
it into the
after
camera,
R.
Dent. Bring it in a little closer there. There's Dale.
And there you go. That's me. Hey.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Dude, it was really, really great of you to do that though for us because it just kind of that scene at the time, and Chris and I touched on this a couple of weeks ago. It was a really awesome scene in Oshawa, the moon room, the eclipse, but there was, I don't want to say the competition, Chris. What was it? The vibe? The vibe was sort of like, oh.
Well, we
like
were all the bands, the indie bands were battling to open up for like the Headstones and like, you know, Rusty and all those bands. So we were all cool with each other until like we heard the Headstones were coming to town. And then it was like, you know, you'd go and talk to Carrie or whoever and try and, you know, the moon room, like, put Machete on there. And then it'll be, no, put Lame on there. No, put this band on there. And then you'd see the guys, oh, hey, how's it going? How you doing with that Headstone show? Fine. How are you doing with it? Why did you talk to, right? So you were all good if it was all indie bands, but as soon as a big one came in, we were all fighting to open for those bands, which was really, really cool when that would happen, right? That was like the peak of the month when you got to do that gig like that. Because all the other times it was just like, you know, average crowd. But when you get, because Oshawa had some good bands come in, man, like the Headstones and stuff like that.
Well, I think you guys did that show with us in Oshawa when who was it that somebody was pissed off and threw a drink up on stage?
Well,
I don't
Can
know.
you not talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I was there for that. I didn't throw a drink, but I was there for that. I remember that.
Yeah, I know. Somebody got punched in the head, I thought.
That was at.
But you know what?
Was
Somebody
that
got a pool cue.
a pool cue?
What? Somebody got a pool cue in, like, I think Belleville. This is way before phones, you know?
Wow. These are the stories we want to hear, though. These are the stories we want to
It's one
hear.
of those, it's like, this is all you see when we had pre-COVID stuff. It's like you just see a pile of freaking phones up and nobody's really watching it. They're all filming it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is when people would actually engage in the shows like that and then have fucking stories to tell about it afterwards. And thank God it wasn't on film for most of us, or especially the Headstones. I mean, the shit that Hugh used to get up to and things that would happen. It was just, it's almost hard to talk about.
Well, I was gonna say, do you have a memory? Do you have a memory of anything from that era? You know, around that time that you can share with us. That's a pretty neat story.
Well, yeah, that's what I was alluding to that time. I think it was Loyalist College or something, and some guy just kept fucking lipping off the whole time, and then throwing shit up on stage, and there was pool tables, and they hadn't quite closed them down, so Hugh ran off, and there was a pool. He grabbed a pool cue from somebody and just came up and fucking cracked somebody in the back and broke the pool cue. I mean, it was just like all of a sudden it turned into a bar brawl. You know, and the bouncers are jumping on him, and they realize he's the lead singer, so they have to let him go. And he's pointing at somebody else, and he's trying to hit them. And it's like, I think that's where he got his ring, his Headstones ring, and clocked somebody in the head. And they had an indent on their head or something. But that's hearsay. You know, I never actually witnessed that part of it. But
you were still on the stage playing, kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, it was like we were just vamping on whatever song that we were doing, and until it got back to stage, which was usually the format for the earlier shows for sure. And I mean, even back to 2016, before I left the band, that was the same idea, except for Hugh would just go randomly out and not being sober, just being able to methodically pick out where he's going to go and hit different spots in the audience. But back then, it was absolute mayhem. You just never knew if he was going to come back or not.
Wow.
I mean, he could have just walked out the door and then ended up at a party somewhere. So
he had that sweater he wore all the time, right? That blue ripped up sweater.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking sweater.
Fucking sweater.
Didn't you have a moment? Didn't you have a moment?
Sweater.
I imagine that must have had his own spot on the tour bus, huh? Is the sweater?
Oh, so did his socks. They were in the garbage and then outside as soon as he could get out. But yeah, that was all that stuff started back in the days with the band. I mean, it's kind of funny. I just finished writing a song, and it was a little bit more about the road and stuff. And I had to put that blue van. Somebody, who did it? Who bought some Modern Day Braves? I think.
Oh yeah, we remember the Braves.
Oh Joe, yeah, Joe and Eric. Yeah.
Hey, did you guys hear? You heard about? You brought the Killjoys. Did you hear about Gene Champagne?
I did, but he's recovered. The drummer
recovered.
For the Killjoys,
yeah, thank God. Man,
he was on a ventilator.
Wow.
I didn't hear what happened. What happened to him?
Well, he got the vid.
Oh, he got COVID. Oh, jeez.
He got the vid, and it was on a respirator for a while. And, they weren't sure. It was touch and go. So, but he's making a full comeback, which is great. And it always takes time. I'm assuming, but You know,
Who were your favorite bands to play with back then, Dale, other than Mr. Machete?
Yeah, I wanted to know that too.
well, Mr. Machete. I mean, come on. Oh, hey.
Sorry, one second. Let me rephrase that for a second. Who are your favorite the bands to play with other than Mr. Machete until that spot where Dent made it almost impossible for you to play with Mr. Machete?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Speaking of Oshawa,
that other incident.
Go ahead, Colin.
Who do we have? Like, I mean, we got honestly had got to tour with a lot of people. I mean, everybody from the big name bands that were nobodies when they opened up for us were Nickelback and Nelly Furtado. Even that they weren't my favorite bands. I mean, you know, we used to have a lot of fun touring with Big Sugar and 5440 and back in the day it was Treble Charger, I Mother Earth. We did with them too. Our Lady Peace was fun because, you know, the guys didn't like the band so much, but with the mockery that was going on. I mean, Fine Tooth Combine from out west there with Murray Creed. Do you know he's
I remember the name of the band. I can't remember who was in it, but
Murray Creed's got he's the drummer, but he's got a music store out in Victoria. Fuck, man, it's so many. Like,
did you ever do any shows with Moist?
Yeah, Moist, we did a lot with them. More East Coast stuff because they were bigger in Montreal because they were from Montreal, I guess, you know.
Jeff's my neighbor, the bass player. I teach his son.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's
awesome.
a rad dude. Yeah, rad dude.
The last show that we did with Moist, I think was I think it was called the Metro or something in Montreal. And the opening act was what they freaking called it was Bubbles band there.
Oh, Sandbox.
Sandbox. So Sandbox was opening up. So it's Sandbox, Moist and us. And I'm not sure if we went first. I think we went before Moist because they were bigger in Montreal. But that's when he first discovered the Bubbles character.
Yes.
So I came on our bus and he's like, "Oh fuck yeah!" He goes, "I made up this character, man. I'm in a comedy troupe." And I go, "Okay, well, show what's the character?" And he goes, "Well, I got to go for a piss first." So he goes in the bathroom in the bus and comes out with the glasses on, the same ones that he wears now. And he just comes out and goes, "What the fuck? What's going on?" And I literally pissed in my pants a little bit. Like I did. I was laughing so hard. We made him shoot tequila up his nose, like the old. He's like, "Oh, that fucking burns like a cocksucker." And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life to that point. It probably still is because it was there live, you know. And I was like, "Holy fuck, that is just the best." Like, I thought he had Down syndrome, but he was acting like that. But because that's the character, he's kind of fucked up, right? But at the time, I was like, man, it's. So that was fun. I mean, soon after that, I think Sandbox went their own ways because he was going to do his thing, but he certainly brought music into comedy. So aside from the Wide Mouth Masons and the Nickelbacks and the Defaults and, you know, all those guys, you know, that used to be, you guys, I'm surprised you weren't even bigger than you were because it's like any band that opened up for us usually super succeeded us to some degree.
We have that story, Dale, because every band that opened for us went on to great things.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah. Some 41, Protest the Hero, yeah.
Okay, some 41, I think too. I think we played with fucking Lincoln Park in New York City. Got CBGBs, and I was like, "Oh, what do you guys like?" "Well, I don't know, like this, man." Fuck, all of a sudden they're huge. You kind of go, "What? Those fucking guys are just talking to them like fucking last month."
And let's think about that for a minute. Lincoln Park at CBGBs.
Wow.
Yes.
Such a weird thing, right? But
Headstones not so out of par, you know.
That's
like
perfect.
I mean, the walls are about fucking good half-inch thick or half-foot thick of like posters just on top of posters at that time. No door in the bathroom. If you had to take a dump at that bar, I'd pity you because everybody would come downstairs. "Hi, how's it going? I'm sitting on the throne."
Gotta need extra
There's no
toilet
paper
paper.
either.
hey, Dan, what's your Headstones memory?
Awesome.
Headstone gig memories?
Awesome.
Oh, well, I remember we had a lot of great times, a lot of energy. I still, to this day, I really love listening to Headstones. Just there's nobody like them in Canada or probably the world anywhere, really. When you think about it, like you take an album like Teeth and Tissue, you put it on and you listen to it front to back, and then you listen to it again. It's just, that's how great these guys are. So I don't know. I don't know if I have one specific moment that I'd say was.
But it's got to be like pre-2016, right?
Right, when you
Yeah,
everything
definitely.
before Dale left.
I'm just joking. I'm really happy that the guys have, when I left the band, I had a meeting with Ralph James. He goes, "Hey Dale, you know what? The band's still going to go on, right?" I'm like, "I totally know that." He goes, "If Nick and Keith are in the band, it's still the fucking Rolling Stones, And if you've met Ralph James, that's he
I
talks.
have many days.
But it's so great that they're able to still just keep putting out shit, and he's still doing the same thing, acting, and I gave them Rickford as a sacrifice so I could leave the band. It's one of those things you have to, either that or you have to lose a limb or die. So
Right.
I decided to keep the limbs, stay alive, and give them a friend.
Yeah,
and he was up for the sacrifice. So
He's down with it. Yeah, they're from Kingston originally. The rest of the guys, aren't they?
I think he was the only person that's left from Kingston.
Oh, okay. All right.
And pretty much was when we started. Aside from Mark Gibson. For the first record, then once Mark left and I replaced him, everybody was from Toronto, really.
Hey, Dan, you remember the Port Perry gig at Trader Sam's with these guys?
Oh,
didn't somebody do
Pepper Spray?
Yeah, that was an easy encore for us. Pepper Spray, see you later.
That was not our fault, though. That was not our fault.
Dan's got a story. Dan's got the story here.
Tell me the story.
I happened to be standing right there, and this wonderful girl, Janessa, pulls out pepper spray out of her purse, and this other guy, Jake, stands beside her and goes, "Give me that. Let me take a look. I just want to smell it." So he wants to spray it just a little bit like perfume, and the whole thing went off. And that was it. Filled the whole bar with pepper spray.
That was bad.
You know who was at that gig?
Yeah, it was terrible.
What's his name from Meat Magazine?
Drew Masters.
Drew Masters was at the gig from Meat Magazine, and he talked about it in the next magazine. I saw the Headstone. He used to do those like gig things. Saw the Headstones in Port Perry. Bar cleared out after pepper spray, and I'm like, coincidentally enough, I'm in a band out here called Pepper Sprayed by Hookers. That is all gig guys like me from like that tour and stuff. And it's like we play one gig every 10 years. It's so funny. Anyways.
So you're in a band called Pepper Sprayed by Hookers?
Yeah, Dave Fortune's in it, Pete Clyde, all the guys, all the Live Nation guys. It was funny. So we did it was just funny about the pepper spray because it was such a day. You guys were so Sam Tuma, I think if he's on here watching, the agent, he was like, "All right, we'll give you guys the Headstones to play at Trader Sam's." And that was like a massive win because you guys weren't cheap. The drummer had demands. You know what I'm saying? They weren't cheap. But you were that night, and you did that as a like just your team was awesome, and we powered in every speaker we could possibly power into Trader Sam's. And we were talking about Trader Sam's earlier because we played there so much, and it was like our first gigs, right? And that's, if you see this is like Trader Sam's. Obviously, you guys played right there. Moved the TVs and the brass rail. Not the strip club, but the brass rails that were there, and we
kind of reminiscent of the Moon Room a little bit.
And we played. It was like you guys were just great. And I remember Hugh came in like later, and you guys were hanging out all day. It was just a really great experience for us. And yeah, it was a big gig, and anyways,
big gig in a little town. It was cool.
Big gig in a little town.
Yeah, and it was good for us too, because again, being on the openings for these is struggling, pedaling. Those are the little things too that I heard you guys open for the Headstones, so I guess we'll put you on this show. Or, we heard you open for this, and then you can climb a bit, which is good. And then again, you're not playing just for like a couple cases of beer, and it's an indoor gig instead of somebody's backyard, which always makes it good. Good to climb the ladder.
Backyard gigs are fun though.
They were fun, dude. Yeah. I remember playing in an apartment too, and people kicking in the walls.
Apartment?
Yeah, dude. It was a triplex, like an apartment triplex. And they were kicking the walls in. They were putting the furniture out over top of their heads, and we only played one song. We did Nirvana, School, and then the cops came in. But that one song, the whole room was just like dead. Everybody's just doing the pogo, right? Because that's what we did back then. It was great.
Dale,
that was Port Perry says.
How many times was the Headstones involved in a police shutdown?
A few times.
Did you ever get the same cops?
The same cops?
Yeah, the same cops showing up.
Because you see, we got shut down probably 10 times, and it just started showing up like we would just got so close to them, we'd invite them over for dinner, But
in fact, I think when I was at your place recording, I think one of the cops did show up and had a hamburger with us in the back. And he wouldn't have a beer because he was on duty or something. But you're like, yeah, this guy freaking shuts us down every other fucking weekend. You're like,
that's Port Perry, buddy.
I'm pretty sure I remember that because this is your backyard, Your mom was coming out with the burgers.
Yeah.
You know,
My
and
God.
stuff. That, like, I see that to me is like real Canadiana, like down home. Let's make some music. Let's have some fun. There's camaraderie, that kind of thing. We were never in the same place that often. And usually it was a venue where it was expected to be loud and everything else and obnoxious. So we were pretty lucky that we didn't really get shut down. But in the early days, like 94 to 95, before Teeth and Tissue, we did a bunch of Stag and Does and things like that too. And and then of course people would want to get on stage and start singing with the band, then he would start fucking punching them and then the next thing you know, there's a couple beers flying, and then there's nobody bouncing, so the band's bouncing themselves.
Oh,
and
man, that's dangerous.
So we would usually end up by scrapping with a few people, and then there was a place in, I think it was Windsor. We basically started dismantling my my hardware and using them as bats just to get gear out of there. Not joking. And then we had Big Sugar were playing down the street, and then we ran into them. I think Gavin Brown was playing drums with them at the time, and we run into Gordy, and Gordy's like, he goes, "Oh man, this is fucking Windsor, man. You guys got out with your life." He goes, "The word fuck was invented here, you know." So it's like, yeah, that's it, man.
Nice.
So yeah, there's been some really crazy incidents, but we've all somehow survived.
Yes.
So
what are you doing now, buddy? What do you got going on these days? What have you been doing since Headstones? Fill us in.
Well, I'm just living on hollow dreams. And wishing for the old days.
No, you've been doing some rad stuff, man. I've seen you.
You want to start a band? You want to start a band, Dale? Let's start a band.
Do that. I mean, I started a project called 6 Foot Social, and it ended up by morphing into 6 Foot Social Band because I thought it was a good name for when this COVID shit first happened. I used to tell my buddies to come over for 6 Foot Social in my backyard. So I got a chimney, and I just have a fire back there, and bring a hockey stick, stay away, and have a couple beers, and then I went, that'd be a cool name for a band. So I went and I got that name. I registered, and then I went, now I'll go through all my demos that I've wrote over the years. I went, fuck, I got a lot of good, shitty songs, and then I just started recreating because I got a little studio in my basement. What if I put real drums on these things? Oh yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna start playing guitar again, and then I play more piano now too. So started putting keys on it, and then I'm like, I can't sing worth the shit. I got to get that up. So I just started asking a bunch of friends that I've been playing with over the years to contribute if they could at home. Hey, I got Pro Tools. Oh, I've got Logic. Oh, I got GarageBand, whatever. And then started getting WAV files sent to me and mixing the shit at home. And then went, well, it's almost good enough. Bring it to another studio. And it's kind of morphing in. We've got 2 singles out now. And first video is just a really generic fucking blah, blah, blah video. But second one I put out 2 weeks ago, and it's, for whatever it is, music's got to be fun now for me.
Yeah.
And before that, I got asked to go into classic albums live. I just wanted to take some time off. So I did the Rumors record, and the enticement was, hey, Dale, this is how Craig talks. He's awesome. I need somebody with some dirt under their fingernails to do the Rumors record. I mean, everybody can do that stuff, but can they really do it? And I was like, oh, it's Rumors. I don't, And he goes, you get to do a drum solo with a 21-piece marching band at Massey Hall. How does that sound? I went, fuck, okay, I'm in. So he did that one. And then, I ended up by learning I think 13 different albums over the last 3.5 years before COVID happened. And you know what? It was like going back to school because, I was writing my own parts. You're creating them all, you're recording them, and then you're regurgitating your own shit in a live fashion with the same band you've been playing with for 2 decades, and stuff. And then you sit there and you listen to fucking Dark Side of the Moon, and you got to go, I got to do that freaking Rototom solo exactly, note for note. And how's this, how's that? And it took a lot of sitting down and then charting out. I mean, I got stacks and stacks of charts for these things. And I'm like, wow, there's all that old schooling that came back in handy, start charting my own shit out, and then woodshedding in the basement, so it's kind of funny how I think it took me to a better place, because now that I'm in my 50s and stuff, it's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm not going to keep going. I can't do that anymore. I don't want to, I'd rather just do something else and maybe do that sometimes. But So it was a really good eye opener. I mean, I hooked up with Alana Miles again too, and I hooked up with Derek St. Holmes from Ted Nugent's band that did all the earlier stuff too, and toured with him and a couple other people through the U.S. And I honestly was touring through the U.S. more than I was going through Canada.
Wow.
So, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I haven't played freaking Lone Tree, California. I haven't been to Mississippi before. Okay, now I'm in Connecticut. Oh, we're playing New York City. Fucking A, you know, like things that we touched on briefly with the Headstones, but we just got dragged across the fucking country back and forth because agents and managers and people need to get paid. So where our bread and butter was up here. So if you went down to the States, let's go play Toledo. Well, here's your $400 American in case of beer, and you're back to all that shit again, right? And then you got a tour bus and crew. How the fuck are you paying for all that stuff without tour support? So anyway, long story is they're nice venues. They're amazing musicians, great venues. Get treated really well, and I have no complaints. So when all this shit settles down, hopefully I'll have my own project to keep working with, and pick it up with classic albums, you know, and just keep writing, because we've all had this opportunity to sit at home for a little while and try to reinvent ourselves a little bit, you know, which we had to do by circumstance. So,
well, if we put the band back together, we'll come open for you.
Well, you know, what did you say you wanted to? Didn't you say you wanted to, form a band?
Yeah, we're gonna start a band. That's right. I'll find you a drummer.
I got stuff here to record with too.
You're a drummer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I know drummers. See that kit that behind Dent? That's what I'm playing on now. So
the beauty is that I've really stayed with Brett too. Like you've helped me out. Like, hey, dude, you're in town. It's like, yeah, I'm with Heart. You want some tickets?
Yeah, I saw. That's the last time I saw you, actually, Bill. Yeah,
that's probably the last time I saw you, right?
I had my daughter there, and it was Joan Jett and Heart, and man, that changed her view on bands. It was great. That was great.
Well, yeah, I ran into you when we were out in Vancouver too with Alana Miles years ago.
Yep.
And like I said,
I tried to. I tried to listen. I'm a proponent of like, whoever got you there has to stay there. You know, for the most part, if they treated you right, if they treat you like shit, they can fuck off. But anyone that's like, you know, that for us, there's a lot of people that are involved in, and a lot of has come out of that time. Like we're all doing our own thing now, but it's all come out of that time. I mean, 3 best friends that are still together to this day, hanging.
Awesome,
but it's like, we've all kind of gone. We've all, from a byproduct of that time, have all gone our ways, and it all kind of circles back to that Max Milk, that Dent work, that
musical family, right?
Max Milk. Now that's a name that you don't hear very often.
You do not.
Look at Max.
But that's where you could go, and it was just an amazing time, and you were just such a for us in our early phases there, and supporting a record, our first album, and it was a lot of fun, and you were so great to come on board and help us. And then the shows that we did play will always stick. It's funny that you were so excited about my 64 Stewart, but you let me play your kid at the Moon Room, and I was like, what do I do?
Well, that's the kid I got set up in the basement.
Right. So it's just funny how it's like, how it goes. But anyways, Dale, we can't thank you enough, man. Thanks for being a part of the history of us,
buddy. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. You know what I mean? Really, because
we'd love to have you back again for sure. Are you into pop culture at all?
Sure, I guess.
Comics, movies,
movies, or TV
Marvel
stuff, like, you know, Star Wars and stuff like that. We talk about that regularly.
Oh, you do? Okay. Not as much as some.
No, but that's like, do you have a toy collection perhaps?
No
toy collection, but you have movies that you enjoy, because we talk about horror. We talk about horror movies and stuff like that.
I love horror movies.
What's that?
I love horror movies.
Okay.
And sci-fi. So I do love sci-fi and horror. It's got to be good, and thankfully there is a lot of good stuff out there right now, because what the fuck would you do without Netflix and Prime and stuff?
Right.
We're like, we're in Toronto, like you're locked down. What are you going to do? I get on my bicycle to ride and get my lungs in shape, but what do we do at night? Well, what do we watch now? It's just a bunch of
watch the Kids on the Escalator podcast.
But it all started with Tiger King for me. It all started with that Tiger King thing.
You watch this spot. You watch this show. That's what you do.
Look at that. He's got mugs and everything.
Yeah.
We paid for this mug with the Machete sales.
He doesn't fuck around.
We don't fuck around. Thanks, buddy. Come back anytime.
Dale.
Thanks for being.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations, 25 years ago, man.
Hey.
Thanks, man.
Isn't that cool? Awesome. So re-release the record.
Yes.
Put it out there because I was
Re-release
trying to
record.
Google
It is. It's out there. It's
Well,
it's
on
gone double
Bandcamp
copper.
right now. I
Is
think
it on
it's
Bandcamp?
yes.
Okay, because I Googled something and it became a man butchered people on a bus with machete.
Oh no!
And they were calling him
Yeah,
Mr. Machete, and I was going, okay, that's not it.
That's our new video, Dale. that's our new video. We just put it out. We just put
it
it
has
out.
no relevance to any actual facts or things, right?
No.
It's rock and roll.
Anyway, I can keep talking with you guys. I get another beer. Let's go, right? Anyway, it's great to see you. I like that little drum kit in the corner there.
Thanks, Dale. Yeah, my girl loves it. Smashes the shit out of it.
Perfect.
He's nothing
Perfect.
but rock and roll.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, man.
Back anytime, brother.
Good to
All right,
see you.
buddy.
Thanks so much for all your support over the years, and thanks for being a part of our history and everything, man. It was awesome.
It's
So
been my pleasure, man, and thank you.
Take
All
care,
right,
That's
buddy.
be
Dale
well, guys.
Harrison.
All right, we'll get through this shit together.
All
check out his new band, 6 Foot Social.
Yes, 6 Foot
Thanks,
Social.
man.
Check them out.
Thanks, buddy.
Woohoo! All
Hey,
right,
Dale, take care, buddy. Right on. That was awesome.
Train kept it rolling.
The train kept
Dan, I
rolling.
thought you were going to tell. I thought you were going to tell this. Didn't you have a little run in with Mr. Dillon at one of those shows?
Did I? That was me.
Ah.
Yeah, that was
Did
funny. I
you?
was wondering where that, and then it went for the pool
I was-
cue, and I thought, okay, well, that didn't happen with Dent. So
That wasn't us.
We'll go with that.
No.
Hey, there's Marc. Oh, hey, Sally in the house. Hey, buddy.
Hey!
Looks like there's a big
Dent.
smoke cloud in front of you. Are you
I
smoking
know.
over there?
No,
I
Mark.
think this
Mark is
like
part
the
of
oldest computer of all time, maybe.
It's one of those box ones.
Mark runs the film festival, yet he's using a Casio to broadcast from.
It's the smoke machine.
Don't let the
Oh
film
my
fest
God.
folks
Busted
know
the smoke machine.
We're gonna wrap this thing up with our buddy Mark. Mark.
Yay, Marc. Save
Hey,
the best
what's
for the
up?
last.
Oh, man. Good to see you.
Hi, nice drum kit.
Right?
Everybody's
Either
been
you've
loving
gotten
the
really strong, or they've.
Who's that
they're-
guy?
Oh wow!
kit. Hey, look at that. It's me and you,
Okay.
dude.
Don't have that hat anymore.
Look at that.
You don't have. Hey, Mark. You don't have that
I
weight
don't
anymore.
have that hat anymore.
Mark, you don't have that weight anymore. You're all
That's
lean
when
and
Marc
mean
was
now.
living off of beer.
That's right.
Seriously. What did they serve at the dungeon? The only person I know that got anything there was actually Ben. Jamaican patties.
Jamaican patties. I was gonna say that. Jamaican
Yeah.
patties. Yeah.
Never bringing up to
He had
try
he had an insatiable appetite for those dungeon Jamaican patties.
That's awesome.
I remember every time we'd play there, Ben would do the Jamaican patties, but then he'd always do the there was kind of the trifecta. There was the pizza, Mr. Sub, and there's something else on the third corner there. I forget. That was kind of the that was the dining every time we played at the dungeon, I think.
There's a Tim Hortons there now, but I think there was like a chicken place too.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a while though.
It has, yes.
Yeah.
So for those watching at home, you'll recognize if you can see Mark through this fucking Casio lens. This is Marc Garniss from Kingston Punk Productions. I Hate Sally, and of course the Kingston Canadian Film Festival. He's a
Yeah.
regular. He's been on a few times to chat about all the things. But we've been running through the 25th anniversary of the Machete Records stuff, if you can believe it. We've had some people on that were involved in all of that, including this is the first time Dent and I and Chris have been together in a long time. So just regaling on some stuff. So give us a little rundown, Mark, on that time when you first met us, because that's pretty much right off that first record there. Not too long after that.
Yeah, I think you guys had been around for like I Hate Sally started playing in I think we would have started jamming in 2000. So I doubt we would have played a show together until 2001.
Okay.
So that was kind of getting a little bit on for you guys, right? Like that was sort of
We were
Like-
getting on.
yeah, you
We were getting on.
you were no longer a new band.
I mean, the other two guys in this band are on. I'm a little under. I'm a little
Right.
younger. I'm a little younger, but they were getting on. So, anyways, they it was an early time. Kingston, we had some shows
Yeah.
with you guys back then. I Hate Sally. It was fun.
We traded
Yeah,
off
when-
too off the beginning, right? Like you
For
guys
sure. So-
gave us a show in
so-
Toronto.
Yeah, I know we played together in Toronto. Then we had you guys to Kingston a few times, and you guys had you guys and maybe One Down were the two bands that we started doing show trades with, like right off the get go. Like I think we played in Kingston a bunch when we started, and then when we Ben Thomas, who was the other guitar player back then, I feel like he sort of handled the Hotmail account. It might have been I think it was Yahoo. We had a I Hate Sally at Yahoo. So he would have been contacting you guys about those early show trades for sure, and it was Dungeon all the way back then. And then when we had you guys to Kingston, I think it was Club 477.
Yep.
And then you're right, we did end up in Toronto together a few times. I don't know who organized that gig, but I remember there was the Planet Kensington one.
Remember that one? Because that was when we
Yeah.
first, because we got a picture of that, and it looked like you were wearing a fez. I don't know if you're wearing a fez.
I was just talking about that with Moira, and I think my hat was maybe on sideways, and then I turned my head sideways as well.
Because that's a classic picture, man. That's from way back.
Yeah. So that was outside Planet Kensington, I think. Yeah. So I think after we made contact with you guys, that was kind of the first steps we had, kind of getting out of town and playing shows and doing show trades and just kind of learning how to be a band, really, and just kind of, figuring it out as we went. But yeah, those early Dungeon shows were gold for sure.
We were all learning how to use the internet too, huh?
Well, the first tour that I Hate Sally booked, it was a lot of phone numbers and not emails, I remember.
Right.
So that was still like, I don't know, imagine like calling a club owner now to like book a show. It just wouldn't happen. I'd say, email me and I'll maybe get back to you. But it's
give me something to check your music out first or something.
Yeah.
Send us your EPK, and then you mailed one to yourself and all the rest of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just even trying to get a gig, like chucking something in the mail, like, probably costs like $15-20 to send like bands don't do press photos anymore. It's just, it's all different now, man.
It was crazy. You had a good scene going on up there in Kingston.
We
Give
did
us some Machete live memories, buddy. Some of your favorite Machete live memories, because there was a mix. It went from Machete to Machete version 2 to Caliber, so there was a lot of playing there. But the early Machete stuff,
when we were
Kensington,
three-piece. So this would be back when your drummer was, and I keep blanking on his name. Kelly
Payne. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the first show we did with you guys, I feel like it was at Chris, do you know where that arcade bar is downtown now? Barcadia?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think there was a venue in there called something super generic, like The Venue or something.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, and I think that's when you guys and One Down came, and that's when we met and played our first show. But I would say like it doesn't seem to be as memorable for me for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe the show got shut down. I forget. I don't really remember a whole lot of the music that night, but I do remember the Kensington gig vividly, and like, it was the summer, and it had the same like fish smell it still has to this day, I think.
I remember that.
And the bathroom, the ceiling, like I even had to duck in the bathroom, so you guys
bathroom, you had to walk through the bands to get to the staircase that then went down to the bathroom. So yeah, every time somebody went to that seemed to be fairly common back in those days, having to walk through the bands to get to the bathroom, because I think it was like that in Club 477 too, in the upstairs back room.
Yeah. Right. That was a great club, man. That was by far one of my favorite clubs ever. Club 477.
Always had fun there, man.
Princess. It was perfect.
So
what a great place to play.
That was our last show too with me. Like, I guess Oshawa was the last show that we played together with me on drums. But I think we played Kingston and Oshawa back to back.
Yeah,
4777 and then the Dungeon.
Right. Yeah. I think we had you guys to 477 a few times, but I remember, I think it was maybe the last time you guys played there. Is that when you would have brought the earlier formation of Protest?
Oh, yes. Yeah. We did Happy Go Lucky. We totally brought them out there. Yep.
Yeah.
Remember all the parents came?
Yeah, totally. That show was packed. Like back then, like the room was pretty small, but if we got like 40, 50 people, I remember it looked pretty full, but I remember that one was like especially full.
That was
jammed. And and I feel like that was maybe one of their first shows, or maybe their first out of town show.
It was, exactly. Yep.
Very early on.
We had that CD we were releasing too, with me on the cover with the mask that everybody's looking for now.
Yeah, you're like falling into the Marshall half stacks, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. So we released. I was a CD release for that.
Yeah.
Apparently, those are really hard to find now.
Oh yeah,
I got one.
A friend of mine, Steve Shaw, was all over it. She said, "If you ever find one, man," I reached over. I've got 12 of them. I just happen to have them right there. So I think I gave one, but there's some still out there. Anyway, at least 12.
Yeah. And who was
We
the
had
other
Tim on
band on
from
that show
Protest.
too? Though
A
I do
1 Star
remember-
Short. They didn't really do anything. Well, they joined I think some of the guys we formed with Chuck Caliber with, because that was Mel's band before.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Brian, and yeah, I think Poe's in there too.
Yeah. But I love the setup at that bar, man. Downstairs was just like Blair Witch dungeon, but like dry. And then upstairs
Sure.
was alternative kind of bar. And I remember watching Star Wars there, the Clone Wars, the second one with DENT and Marc there. Like not the whole movie, but part of it. We were just up shooting the shit at the end of the night. And I just remember being like, man, it was one of the enjoyments of being in a band, because I loved playing shows, but I also loved when it was over and you could just kind of hang out around with your friends and whoever the other bands and revel in the moment. And I just remember that, and it's just a small thing, but I remember the three of us sitting at the bar, and I think you're paying us even, maybe, which made it even better probably. But we were all just drinking beer and watching Star Wars, and it was just like a moment for me, and I'll never forget that moment. It's a small moment, but it was a really, really good one. Yeah.
You would need to stress too that people like don't understand. We're talking a lot about, we had Mike Bryant on. We're talking a lot about these little gigs, these little tiny gigs that made the whole thing up. And that's where you would trade off. I mean, backyard parties, the 477, to your point, Marc, 50 people in there looked like 1,000.
Yeah.
Like all these little tiny gigs that provided all these little memories were so crucial to maintaining you down the road, because there was that venue in Coburg too that was amazing that we played
On the Bean.
the Bean just
Beyond the
jammed.
Bean.
They had
Beyond
that,
the Bean.
that little flower box right out front from the front window. The door was there, and there was a duck that had nested, a mallard duck. I'll never forget it, right in the flower box. And because of that, they had a little sign up that said, "Do not mess with the duck." Nobody messed with the duck. And then we went in and played the show with, I believe it was Glue Leg, in the upstairs all ages area. And that night, the crowd and everybody was so rambunctious that they cracked the floor, whatever the main supports were, and they had to shut the place down after that show. That was it. Beyond the Beam was
Unbelievable. We played portables. Did you ever play portables, Marc?
I think so. Yeah, I feel like everything was just a bit more of like a free for all, and definitely more chaotic, or you would never know what you would be getting into with a gig. Whereas now I don't know in what year this changed, but I feel like there might have been a shift. Let's arbitrarily say like 2005 or something like that, where stuff did become, I think, a little more like organized. Those early 2000s and late 90s, yes, there was like lots of portables, or like anywhere you could set up a PA, bands would be playing, right? And just like, so I Hate Sally was playing a lot of those early shows, but we were also like the organizers too. And so when we started Kingston Punk Productions, it was the same time that we started it with I Hate Sally, but we had no idea how to run a show. So like, I remember collecting door money and kind of working sound at the same time, and probably like drinking a beer and talking to somebody too. Whereas, couldn't really get away with that now. Maybe for like smaller bands you could, but we had some bigger bands like touring through back then as well. Like we'd have like DOA and the Daglows and
Headstones. We just had Dale on.
Yeah, no, I don't think they would have been pretty. They would have been pretty big by then. But we did I remember our first like big show was for Alexis on Fire. Like right after they took off, they did that indie video. I think like either a buddy or somebody in the band kind of made it. It was that one shot of them playing in the house.
Right.
And they went from a band kind of dropping off demos, like similar to the one we were just chatting about with the Kids on Drugs ones. Yeah. I remember them dropping those off at 477 1 month, and then in under a year, us doing a 1,000-person show for them. And the guys in Alexis on Fire, they didn't know what the hell they were doing then as well. Like at the end of the night, just paying them was pretty jokes, because I feel like cover was probably something obscure like $8, right? we wouldn't have been writing them checks at the end of the night or anything like that. So I remember it was Wade and I in the basement of the venue just going through like this pile of cash and just trying to like sort that out. But yeah, we had like, I remember we had close to 1,000 people at that show. It's where the Chris would know where the Giant Tiger is downtown now.
Oh, wow,
Kingston.
yeah.
But yeah, it used to be an old country bar that was, I think, on its last legs. And so we said, we'll do a show and bring out a few people. And they were probably expecting 25, 30 people. We had like about 1,000 people at that show. So it was pretty
Nice.
nuts. But yeah, it was a lot of just kind of learning on the go, like both in the band or that's probably where you would have got started too, right, Brent?
I mean, Dent was brought it up, and Dale brought it up. Like, I think at that time you had to book your own shows a lot of the time to get on the shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the chance to open for the Headstones and a few other things, but like I'm Mother Earth, I had to put that show on. Like, like some the Matthew Good, I had to be the book. Some of these shows you had to book and then put yourself on, so that you learn on the fly, really. And I remember doing that Headstone show is technically my first show I ever did. Like,
okay,
in that regard, at Trader Sam's in Port Perry, and that was sort of like, you learn on the fly. You kind of have an idea as to what's going on, but it was like you're kind of learning as you go, and as you meet your managers, you're like, wow, I missed like this, and I missed that, and promotion was this, and it was crazy, but it was such a fun time and such a crucial time. Dan, what's your favorite shitty venue gig that we ever did?
Okay. Shitty venue. That's a difficult question because a lot of them were really rough. A lot of them, everything was an adventure. So no matter how bad the gig was, it wasn't really that bad until the sound went out. So anytime the sound went out, that was a shitty gig. The adventure with it, like I can remember when I Hate Sally. Remember when your van burned down on the side of the 401? How's that for an adventure?
Oh yeah, and you guys had a van fund, right? A new van fund.
Yeah, they had like a little, I think it was Darth Vader on the merch table.
It was a Darth Vader.
Holding a sign that said, "Please, our van burned down." No, it really did. And a couple of bucks here and there, and I loved it. But just knowing that each band had the same kind of similar setup or a similar disaster or a similar show in a similar venue where the sound goes out or the bathroom backs up, or, you've got that one good sound guy. Sometimes you get that one good sound guy.
Buy him a beer and you're all set.
Buy him a beer. Be his buddy for a few minutes and he'll appreciate it, or she'll appreciate it. And you'll get where you're going. But
hey, Marc, do you remember Lindsay? And Dan, you'll remember this too. Remember Lindsay? We played in, but we didn't play in the building per se. We played in the lobby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Dynamite.
With who?
Is it Dynamite?
Well, we played there with Marc with I Hate Sally a few times.
Okay, well, I was thinking we played. Maybe that was the second time we played there after.
Could be. I was just thinking of the old I Hate Sally ones because I remember that was a funny one too because it was like you guys asked us to
get to
play
the venue, but you didn't really play in the venue. You played where like
in the foyer.
And you would go to the theater now, where people like where people would take their kind of the pre-coat check area or something.
Like
kind of like yeah. But I remember like they would cram 150 kids in there, and it was awesome. Whereas if it was in the theater, it would have sucked.
Yeah, because the seats were all stable, right?
Yeah, that was actually a cool venue. But I remember like almost exclusively playing places like that. Like I almost remember it would be an exception when we'd play like a real venue that would have like a stage and a sound. Like the dungeon would be leaning towards the real venue side for sure. So it was like. But I have no complaints with the dungeon at all. I always thought, aside from the sound guy,
Rob, he's a dick.
Everybody's got a sound guy story, I think, that's played the dungeon. But the venue itself had like a pretty good sized stage, and the PA I remember being pretty good. And I think they, I don't know, kids always showed up, so it was.
There's a benefit of nothing going on in town. It was great.
It was a good separation between the drinking section and the all ages section as well, which I think was pretty rad.
Just to allow that as well is kind of cool because it's hard finding venues that'll do that nowadays.
Well, Marc, you were saying that like to play the dungeon was like a good gig, but flashing back on that, man, it's like because the kids would just put on their own shows. They'd contact you and say, what does it cost to put on a show? And they'd rent like a little hall or something, right? And they make sure they had enough money. And you go down and you play these shows. And 90% of them, you'd have to have 2 or 3 kids holding the speakers up because everybody was coming up so close to everything. It's like, hold those speakers, don't let those amps fall, man. You know what I mean? I can remember, and also playing shows where I'd ask Rob to stand kind of like our roadie guy, our friend, to stand kind of in front of the microphone so that when they were moshing, the microphone wouldn't hit you in the teeth. I don't know if you ever experienced that, Marc. Just Jesus, you're getting in there and they because they weren't venues. They really weren't venues. It was just an area where a bunch of kids got together, and they told you were going to get paid at the end of the night, and that's what happened, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't like, maybe those shows still happen now. I'm not sure, but like, yeah, we'd play Port Perry and like Belleville, and like Lindsay was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like we got gigs everywhere. So it's like, in some respect, you'd think it would be harder getting gigs back then, just without, you know, everybody having an email address, or you know, we were kind of just like coming into the internet at that time, I think, as far as bands go. But it's in some ways was easier to get gigs though. But I don't know, we kind of went about things like very like 100% DIY from the ground up, you know, like making contacts with guys like you guys and bands and, you know, Ottawa and other cities like that, and just doing show trades. And then, you know, you'd always have a guaranteed audience kind of playing for their fans. And I feel like, I don't know if bands still do that to the same extent that
Nowhere
they
to
did back
do it
then.
right now. COVID aside,
before
a lot of
COVID,
venues-
Right, yeah.
even
COVID
before
aside,
COVID,
it's just
though,
not
right?
Nobody's doing a damn thing right now.
Yeah.
But before COVID, I don't
I mean-
know if that kind of camaraderie thing goes on anymore. I don't know how that. Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't. Like, I mean, I'm not a part of it anymore, so maybe I'm a little bit blind to that. But like, I don't see a lot of it happening in Kingston. Like, we're still running shows, and I kind of know what's going on in town. I just don't see a lot of that happening. So, you know, it feels like it's kind of died off a little bit, especially in the heavy music world. I feel like that's maybe was especially strong in the late 90s and into the early 2000s, and has maybe sort of died down a little bit in the past 5
It's
or
more
10
of an
years.
accepted
All the-
thing now, right?
All the kids are playing their guitars up here now. They're
Yeah.
all playing
Yeah.
up here now.
But like metal's more accepted now, right? So it's not like, I think back in the 90s, you really had to help each other get it exposed. Because I can remember on
Right.
lots of gigs seeing, wow, I've never heard anything like this before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes it was a good, never heard this before. And other times it was like, wow, that's a whole lot of rapping going over that metal. And that's when that kind of, remember when that started? There was a band from around here, and they all wore the jumpsuits. I can't remember their name, but they were fairly popular. But they were doing the whole Slipknot thing, and then, you know, a little bit of Korn here and there was mixing in, and and then sometimes you'd see some bands they'd go back and just do some like real like intricate punk stuff when that was starting to come out, like punk music, but with like some really cool. It wasn't just 3 chords; it was like some real cool metal soloing going on in them. So I think back then, to your point, Marc, is that a lot of bands needed that help to expose that music. Nowadays, dude, it's just like, well, what kind of metal do you listen to? Because there's like 15 different kinds of metal these kids think. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and it drives me nuts. You either listen to Slayer or you don't. That's the way it was with me, I know.
yeah.
How about now today, when you look back at some of the music, say, for example, you take a band like the Glorious Sons, and you guys probably know them from Kingston.
My daughter works for them.
Oh, yeah? Perfect. Well, the thing about them is they remind me of the whole late 90s vibe as it ran through. And they've got this really great sound. It's probably one of my favorite modern bands that have...
Which is amazing to me, Dan.
Really?
It's funny, huh?
Well, it's amazing to me, and I don't mean I just because you were always like, it's Daglow and it's this, and if there was something mainstream, there was no way you were going near it, never. And when you keep telling Glorious Sons, I'm like, maybe maybe dementia's kicked in now.
Marc, you must have gave them one of their first shows, though, Marc, haven't you?
I don't know if we would have given them one of their like first shows, but we gave them like several like early on shows for sure. Like we had them opening up for the Odds. I remember when we did a show for them. We had them maybe opening up for another band of that comparable size, but it would have been at the Mansion. So the Mansion can hold 150 people, and they were the opening band. So that just gives you an idea of.
Were they able to by themselves like sell out the Mansion? Or did they just kind of go away and came back and was like, whoa, what happened to these guys?
Yeah, they yeah, for sure. But they played a venue down further down Princess Street a bit more, called the Merchant.
Okay. Yeah.
So they kind of, I don't think they had like a weekly gig there, but they like, I would say, played there like monthly type thing. And often shows were free there, and I think the bartender or the owner, you know, just played a flat fee for the band to come in and fill the night type thing. Wow. So they kind of went about things that way a little bit more than kind of the ticketed gigs, which is a little more familiar to me. But but I know when they were playing the Merchant, they used to always pack it, and which their friends and family and fans. And then when they started doing more like ticketed shows where their friends and family and fans had to start paying for tickets, I think they still retained a lot of their draw. Like when we had them on that Odd show, I think it was sold out, but I remember thinking about half the fans there were there for them. So they always had a draw, and they always, which is important, you know, like when, you know, if I'm booking a show and thinking of what local band to put on, you know, you don't want them to suck, but you also want to ensure that they're going to bring some people out. And they always like tried hard. I remember, to pull a crowd. So yeah, it's like, I think they worked hard, and it's obviously paid off for them.
Nice.
Oh yeah. And they have that vibe too. They've got that, well, in my opinion anyway, that later 90s, early 2000s, maybe almost a timeless vibe. So when I listen to them, I think of all the great times we all had.
I agree, Dent. I agree. And I think,
and then I did get a chance to see them live before everything got shut down. And I thought they've got the energy, the enthusiasm, and again, the vibe that I just love it. So it's a Kingston thing, I think. You know?
Yeah.
it's amazing to see what happened now with those band. Like that band, it was like the last band to break before all this shit went down.
Yeah.
Because you got JJ Wild, you got all these bands on standby that haven't had a chance to show anybody
Sure.
what they're made of because they haven't been able to play. The Glorious Sons were the last ones to me that broke. Arkells broke just before that, then the Glorious Sons, and now it's stopped. And now once this all starts again, there'll be that next wave of who's going to come through. So,
And yeah, the Arkells had some early shows here too, didn't they, Marc?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that, I would say any band that's kind of blown up since 2000, we've probably done shows for, and have like, I don't know, probably some interesting behind the scenes stuff that's happened. Like Arkells, first show we did for them was, I don't know if you guys remember Clark Hall Pub. I feel like you guys must have played there at some point. It was on Queens.
We did a Halloween show there.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. it would have been on the nicer side for the venues that we would have played. But
it was cold, but it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, the bathrooms were possibly clean. But yeah, we did early shows for Arkells there, and you know, playing to 100 people type things. So Bedouin Sound Clash, we did shows for them actually at 477. And you know, they went on to get pretty big too. Actually, I Hate Sally's second show ever was with Bedouin Sound Clash at a Battle of the Bands in Kingston.
Oh no way! That's so cool.
We won our round. Bedouin Sound Clash won their round, and a Rush tribute band won a third round. So we all played in the finals, and the Rush tribute band won.
I was gonna say the Rush tribute band won. Yep.
Really?
We've had that happen to us. Remember, a cover band Smoke beat us in a Battle of the Bands one time too. It was Mr. Machete way back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys, we got to wrap soon. Marc, thanks.
Wait, who won the game, Marc?
So much.
The game is ongoing. Brent's team is winning last I checked.
Oh, is it a later game?
That.
Yeah, it started at 9.
Oh, just started. Oh, geez. Okay.
The COVID kids are whooping ass.
Yeah, what's going on? Leafs should be dominating.
Woohoo!
I could have watched the game on Saturday, but they canceled that game. I think I texted you about that, didn't I, Marc? Or maybe I did.
Yeah.
I texted my dad. I was like, the only game I get to watch is canceled. What the hell? Yeah, I was pissed off.
And love sports. Marc, tell us everywhere that people can find you and all the places.
You can check us out at kppconcerts.com for the music stuff. I also work in film festival, kingcanfilmfest.com. And I don't know. We're going to start making some music again soon.
Yeah, Marc, you can still request I Hate Sally stuff on Apple Podcast and whatever, and it goes back to you, right?
Yeah,
so,
we're on Spotify and stuff too. Yeah, so I Hate Sally's got like our newer stuff on Spotify, and yeah, we're I don't think we have a .com or anything like that anymore, but we're on Facebook. I think just to show when we broke up, I think we like made a Facebook account and then our band broke up. So we are technically on there.
That's the curse. Well, no, Marc, nowadays everybody has, hey, Google, play I Hate Sally. You know what I mean? And that's all you need. And you can hear I Hate Sally. So,
well, thanks for being a part of our history, buddy. That's we'll get you back on when we go into phase 2 of the Machete world. But we wanted to just get the 25th anniversary out of the way. Friends, so thanks, man.
Yeah, Marc.
Thanks, guys.
Good to talk to you, man.
Good to see you, Dan.
Talk to you soon, buddy. Hopefully I'll be able to have a beer with you soon.
Okay, for sure. Thanks,
You guys are
guys.
neighbors.
See you, buddy. Take
Bye-bye.
care, Mark. Yeah, well,
Bye.
we're in lockdown. We can't do much here. I got a Heights Alley going on the dinner now.
Can't you do some? Backyard stand around a fire thing like a dense?
You're not. No,
giant-
we're on lockdown right now. We're not supposed to. We're only supposed to hang out with our household right now.
Mhm.
But you
Yeah,
go
you're
to Walmart
supposed-
and hang around with idiots.
Yeah.
So, takeaways. Machete. 25 years later, gents. Dent. What do you remember from making that record, man?
From making it, I found it very stressful. I really didn't think I knew what I was doing. And looking back, I was listening to it because I knew we were going to have this conversation. So I decided not to listen to it and just try to remember what it was like.
Mhm.
Today, I played it first thing this morning, and I thought, what the hell was I worried about? It was so good. There's so many great moments in that album. And I look back at them, and after we recorded it, I was worried about one note being a little bit off. And then I listened to it and I think, well, you remember the time we were walking down the street in Toronto and your cousin worked for 102.1 The Edge radio station. And we saw Dave Bookman on the street in Toronto. And he said, oh, hey, guys, can you introduce yourself? You know, I'm cousin, blah, blah, blah. But he said, okay, give me your tape. And we didn't even have a tape with us. But then he goes on to play our very first Machete song on the radio. Do you remember what that was? In the
I'm a
indie
bastard.
hour? It was Booze.
Or Booze. I mean, yes, it was Booze. Right.
It was so great. So I listened to it today and it took me right back, and all of that, all the anxiety and all the crap that I thought I should be worried about was just gone. Because somebody that had never met us before thought this song belongs on the radio. And it probably still does. Just saying.
Well, if people want the CD, you can buy it off of Bandcamp. Nobody's been
Yeah.
really buying it, but it is available. I think a lot of people go on there and listen to it, but nobody, nobody's really buying it. And I had it on Apple Music for a while there, but if you're a small independent artist on Apple, you get lost. You're not getting paid. I've lost so much money on Apple. I had to pay to get my music back, and it told me it didn't go through. So I hit it again. They charged me twice to buy my songs back, or else they were going to keep them. So you can't get it on Apple. And if you're going to complain about that, you want to give me the money and put it on their fans, you can. Bandcamp. All you got to do is sign up to Bandcamp. You just give them your email, and you can download our album. But that's what I hear. Oh, you got to go to Bandcamp. It's like, dude, Bandcamp. All you got to do is put in your email address and hit "Don't send me info," and that's all you got to do, and you can buy it.
Yeah, it's Chris Machete at Bandcamp, right?
I'm not sure, but if you put in Mr. Machete's stuff, you should be able to find it on.
Yeah,
I'm looking
a lot
at
of
it.
fun. Chris, takeaways from making that record, man.
Yeah, well, lots of stuff's a blur to me, but I've always I did a lot. I did the art in that too, so it was amazing. It was a great time in my life. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. I don't remember a lot of it, to be honest with you. Like
I
little
remember the
details.
guitar sounds. I just remember it being. I just remember getting that because if you listen to the record, people, it was kind of recorded over two parts. The first part we had money, and the second part we had money later on. So the first part we recorded, and you'll definitely tell the difference between the two kind of versions of songs that are on there as far as sonically, because we recorded these songs and then we went and recorded these songs and then put it together. But I remember when we did the hidden track, that was all the rage. Dale making time to come in and then being able to perform that live, like with him, which was fun. We did a lot of fun with that. But if you listen to the record, like sonically, it had everything that was going on in 1990, 94, 95, because it had like the snare was like, I remember Dale loved the snare to the point where like Smile and Wave, if you listen to Smile and Wave, that snare sound vaguely familiar.
It's like Jeremy Taggart's as well, right?
Yeah, totally. And it was like just had that what was going on in 94. All of our influences are on that record. Every single one of our influences are on that record, and I love it. Like it's
full of stuff.
It's full of stuff.
It's full of stuff.
And great memories, man. Some great stuff in phase 1 of Machete, and we'll get to phase 2 of Machete in a couple of weeks, couple months. Talk about the next phase with all these different things. Lonnie is going to play us out tonight.
She's right.
She's going to play us out tonight with the title track off the record.
We need to do our Yeti ad first.
I guess we got to. All right. So a couple things we got to do. Dent, got to thank you for coming on, buddy. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Glad to be here. It's so long since I've seen you guys, man. It's crazy.
That's a lot.
And 25 years has just gone by, just like that. So it's good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. Take care of your family and
Before that.
everything. We'll talk to you soon. Things will clear up.
Everybody's good. Everybody's good.
We got to thank our friends at Blue Microphones for sponsoring us. That's Chris got the Blue Yeti. We got the Blue Yeti X. We got the Mixify headphones. We got to thank our friends over at Dean Blundell Network, deanblundell.com. Thank you very much for hosting us as always.
Thanks, Dean.
Over there.
You gotta be fresh.
I gotta be fresh. We're gonna be back
Love that.
next week. Wrapping up Winter Soldier. It's gonna be the end of. I
Yes.
think they're only doing 6 episodes. so I
Falcon
think
Winter
it's,
Soldier's over, so we're going to
Falcon
check that out. And
Check that out.
So sorry, Jen, but we saw the trailer for Shang-Chi.
Shang.
And
We
it
have
looks
a-
like Falcon's going to lead right into that.
which makes sense. We've got Justin Wong from the Mighty Ducks, the movie. They've relaunched the Mighty Ducks series from Anaheim, from the Mighty Ducks Disney series, but they've made it into a television series. So Justin from the Mighty Ducks, who was in the original Mighty Ducks, is now in the reboot. He's going to join us to talk a little bit of movie.
When's
and
Justin
Disney
going to be on?
Next Tuesday.
Oh,
He'll be
next
with
Tuesday.
us.
Okay, great.
It's going to be a whole thing.
Hey, Justin, I'm
And
going
it
to draw
just-
something up for that one, Justin. We'll get Justin hockey style, but looking more like lightsaber maybe, or with a hockey stick with a light. I'll draw something up cool for that one, Justin. We're going to do you proper.
Huge thanks to Mike Bryant. Thanks, buddy,
Yeah,
for coming
Mike.
on.
Yeah.
Huge thanks to Turkey. Kristen. That was a good.
I know, I'm going to do it for everyone. Keep going.
Huge thanks to Dale Harrison, formerly of the Headstones, and his new band, Six. What do you call it? 6 Foot Social. There we go. Marc Garniss. Marc Garniss. I hate Sally. There we go.
I am
Lonnie, our producer, Lonnie. There you go, Lonnie. Thank you for all that stuff. Blue Microphones. We running that. We said that. We're running that. And of course, the Dent.
Thanks, Dan.
Along for the
Thank you.
ride. Founder, member, brother, and all things. Join us next week, friends. That is Kids on the Escalator podcast. Lonnie, take us away with the song Stuff. Good times.
Rad dudes. You're gonna be fresh.